All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Leadership Live with JJ Hardy and me, Chris Pienkowski. So, we're just going to give people a minute or so to join the live stream. We're streaming on a few different platforms today. And, this has been an iterative process. We've gotten better each time that we've done one of these live streams. So it's cool to see our progress, and let's check in. JJ, how you doing?
I am doing great. As long as I'm alive and kicking, it's all downhill from there.
There you go.
What about you?
I'm doing good, man. I was mentioning before we went live, I was out in Minneapolis speaking to a group, and I came home with a freaking head cold.
Oh my gosh.
I got home like 1:30 in the morning Monday, and it started like rearing its head a day or so after, but I'm on the downside of it now, so feeling better. If I sound congested, it's because I am, but I won't let that get in my way.
Sure. Well, when you A, fly on a plane, B, go to an environment that you don't live in,
Yeah,
and C, you're up there probably doing something that's probably pretty uncomfortable, so your immune defenses and everything else are down, you're going to end up with something. So it's okay.
Yeah. And, I'm a big fan of the, rules, routines, and rituals.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, one of those is a morning walk. Every single day, I'm out for a walk outside. And it was pretty chilly in Minneapolis compared to Philly. And, and I was out there walking around in shorts like an idiot on my morning walks, and it's like 30 degrees outside. So that probably didn't help either.
No, probably not. No, that might have been a decision that could have been executed a little bit differently.
Yeah, I agree.
Yes.
But I'm a bonehead sometimes. So what are you going to do?
Aren't we all?
Yeah. We all have those moments.
Yeah. And I'm married, so I hear about those bonehead things all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. So JJ, let's jump in. Today, we are talking about coaching and mentoring as leaders. So I'm going to throw it over to you first.
Okay.
Thoughts like why is it something that we need to be doing? What's the purpose of coaching and mentoring as a leader?
Well, it's a constant process, which is why it's important. When you have people, especially in a workplace, it's actually 3 tiers. So it should always start off with training, so teaching, coaching, and mentoring. And a lot of people don't understand. This is why a lot of people think that coaching is a negative connotation. The word, maybe it's because so many people are coaches now, but the difference between the 3 is really what makes it significant. So to teach is to regurgitate information that's new. And maybe it's a process, maybe it's how to make a spreadsheet. It doesn't really matter. It's something that somebody does not know, and you're giving them the information to do it. Coaching is working with them to implement this new thing, and it's not telling them how to do it. You already did that. So now it's helping them through the process. And mentoring is being that person that's knowledgeable in that thing and checking in and making sure that you can provide help whenever it's needed. So why is that needed in the workplace? Because it's an ever-changing environment. And when it's an ever-changing environment, you have to have a constant revolving door of learning new things and implementing new things. So that's to me why this whole process is important.
Yeah. And, the one thing that you just said a minute ago is that people see coaching in a negative light. But have you ever read the book Relentless by Tim Grover?
Nope, but I'm going to write it down.
So Tim Grover is he's like a a performance coach, athletic coach for athletes. And he got his start working with Michael Jordan. And a story that he tells is he's from Chicago originally, and he sent letters to every player on the Bulls except for Michael Jordan, because he was like, this guy, he doesn't need my coaching. And none of the players responded to his letters, but one of the internal trainers got a hold of it, passed it off to Jordan. Jordan reaches out to this guy. So they ended up working together for 15 years. Wow. So this guy, Tim Grover, was a personal coach for Michael Jordan. He also worked with Kobe Bryant. He worked with Charles Barkley. So I always find it funny when people say, there's something negative about coaching. I will rebut that and say there's something negative about your mindset.
Yes.
Because the people who are the best of the best are working with coaches on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
You don't get to be Michael Jordan, greatest of all time, doing it all on your own.
Nope.
So, and people are often surprised when they hear about these high-level people who work with coaches, and they're like, oh, really? They're getting outside help? Well, yeah, because they recognize their limitations and they recognize exactly how coaching can help them to overcome certain things.
You know what's sad about the whole thing, in my opinion? And it was really, I already knew this because I worked in the civilian workforce for a while after I retired from the military. But another person that I was on a live call with right before I got on the call with you, she said, I never received feedback when I was working at a job. I never got help when it was needed. They just expected me to do the job and move on. So that, back to your point with coaching, it's because there's a lack of mentorship in the workplace. There's a lack of processes and procedures that help people understand that you're supposed to be there for your people, that it's not just about getting the job done. It's about, all of the other internal processes that go on with some training and some implementation and all of those things that we started the call off with. Because if you're not doing that for your people and you just have a revolving door of people leaving the job, getting a new person coming in and getting retrained, that's the bigger problem, in my opinion. And coaching should be taught to every business, every manager, every director, every VP and business owner, because if you're not constantly following a model that incorporates teaching, coaching, and mentoring, and by the way, being a mentor, that's not some leader getting a hot head and saying, I know it all. No, it's just somebody who's been there and done that. They might not be perfect. Nobody is, but they are there to help you. And they're humble enough to go to somebody else if they don't know the answer to your question. So coaching, not a negative thing at all. And every workplace should already be using it. And if they're not, that's why you and I exist, because we noticed that there was a need for it. And I don't want to be negative about it, but shame on these people that are out there saying that it's a negative thing, because if you're not coaching your employees, then you're failing your employees.
Yeah. 100%. It is so important. And one of the things I would like to unpack, and I think it would be valuable for anyone who's either watching live or is going to watch on a replay, but training, that's kind of self-explanatory, right?
Yep.
You're learning new skills.
Yep.
But there's nuance in coaching and there's nuance in mentorship. And those two things are different, in and of themselves. So I know I've got my own definitions of what's coaching, what's mentorship, how are they different, how do they overlap? And I'd love to share that, but I'd love to get your thoughts on it. Like what's the difference between coaching and mentorship?
Well, sometimes coaching, well, first of all, as I said, it's somebody coming in with you and assisting you while you're implementing a new thing, or maybe you're struggling in a certain problem area and they're getting you through that. The mentor is that person that has all the information that you could possibly need. Maybe you look up to this person, maybe you don't, but most definitely in every situation, a mentor is somebody that you see value in for you.
Mm-hmm.
And there is overlap. Sometimes those people can be the same people. Oftentimes they're not. The person that helps you implement something new could be on the same level as you. Maybe they're even lower than you, helping you understand something new, but they're coaching you through the implementation of that process, that skill that you discussed. Now, the mentor is that person who's probably at a higher level, maybe not. That could be a peer of yours. It doesn't really matter, but a mentor is somebody that is going to not only have the information that you need, but you look up to, and that that's somebody that you can go to and they will help you if you need it.
I agree with all of that. And the one area where they definitely overlap is the relationship side, right? When I think about coaching in an organizational environment, I'm thinking about it more towards skill, not just skill development, but skill refinement, right? I'm looking at coaching towards tasks, coaching towards greater performance. And I'm looking at mentorship as more of a long-term thing. It's not specific to any one task, but it's more about how do I navigate, how do I carve this path in my career so that I'm getting the most out of it, right? That's why I'm seeking mentorship. Like you said, most mentors have kind of been there. They're a few steps ahead of you, so you're getting their guidance. And as leaders, that's what we're doing when we mentor others, right? We're sharing our experiences, and it's so important to share the times that you have fallen down as a leader and what you've learned from it, just as much as the times that you've succeeded and what you've learned from it.
Oh, for sure.
Like that's really where I see this separation of coaching and mentorship from a leadership standpoint. Coaching is, I need to be better at sales, or I've got someone who needs to be better at sales. Okay, I'm going to coach them on how they're having conversations. I'm going to coach them on how they're moving a prospect through the funnel from prospect to client. That's very specific. But mentorship is, I've got someone who wants to be the next VP of sales, and I'm already the VP of sales. Now I'm going to show you or talk to you about how I got there. And it's much more broad. But both of them are based on relationships.
Oh, of course. I mean, if you're not comfortable going to somebody, or if you think they're ingenuine, or if you think that they are so full of themselves that, it's not even worth having the conversation, then you're not going to go talk to that person. That person's not going to be considered a mentor.
Right.
And, I think the common misconception that a lot of people have when it comes to mentorship is that when you go to a new place, that mentor should be your boss. Well, no.
That's right.
That mentor, commonly, this shouldn't be this way, but it certainly is. Commonly, you only talk to your boss when you absolutely have to, because you don't want them in your business.
Yeah.
So usually that person that you go to when you need some additional guidance on how to be better in what you're doing, which could present you with a coach, is a mentor. And that person's going to be, as I said, they're going to be parallel to you. They could be a peer of yours, maybe over in three offices down, or maybe in two desks across from you or whatever. But it's probably not going to be your boss. It could be. That would be an ideal situation because you're keeping the pipeline strong. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, usually a mentor is somebody else who has been there that it's almost like going to a counselor. You don't necessarily want to air out all your dirty laundry to your boss. You want to go talk to somebody else.
Yeah.
So a mentor is somebody who's that you can trust, that has been there and done that, and that you can talk to without making any waves in what you're doing already.
You just used a key word there, which is trust. And you 100% need that in a mentorship relationship. Where do you think trust falls in from a need standpoint, from a coaching, relationship? Leader to subordinate, or even, peer to peer coaching. Where does trust fall in there?
Well, you just like finding a mentor, I think it's important to understand that not only is this person going to be help you in implementing this new strategy, or to develop the skill to be a better salesperson, or whatever, but you're still going to have to share your vulnerabilities with this person. So when it comes to trust, I mean, I'm not going to tell you anything if I don't know anything about you, and I can't trust that you're going to, keep it to yourself and not blab it around the office. You still have to understand. Well, and you can learn a new skill without necessarily trusting that person, but you're not going to be as good at it as you would if you certainly trust that person that's helping you implement that new skill. That's part of why what we do is so important, because people work intimately with us. And to be a coach, I think we would be better if people looked at us as kind of a mentor. And I really don't let people hire me on unless they do, because we need to have such a deep relationship while they're working through their problems that I'm kind of both. I'm
Yeah.
not, that's why I call it one-on-one coaching and mentoring, because if they trust that that they're going to pay me all that money and I'm going to help them with their outcome, then trust needs to be there, especially as a coach.
Well, yes.
You're probably looking for something more specific.
No. I mean, especially in the context of what you and I do, they often do, and kind of should overlap a lot more. But when we're talking about the context of within an organization, a one person coaching another or one person mentoring another, they could be different, right? You could be getting mentorship from the person 3 offices down from you, who's been in the organization. They understand the dynamics and how people rise up through it. But that may not be the person that you're going to for coaching, depending on the task, right? If you're in operations, you may not be going to the head of sales to get coaching on some operation related tasks, but you can absolutely build that mentorship relationship with the head of sales, because they've been around and they know where the bodies are buried, and they can help you navigate that minefield, right?
Yeah. What you just said, I love the bodies are buried. I can't get past that. Anyway, you threw me off. No, but if I'm trying to learn a new email system, I'm going to go to my IT guy. I don't have to like that guy.
Right.
I don't even have to really trust that guy any further than, he's helping me learn this new email system, because he already taught us all, but that doesn't mean we know it. So the big component, and this answers the last question that you asked me, is that, you just need to trust that person can get you to your desired outcome in the workplace. That coach is not, they are a technician. They are somebody who can and really help in a very, very specific area. That person's not probably a mentor at all. They can be, but just like we said, that's not ideal. So, those minute tasks, you're right. Where the mentor would know where the bodies are buried, and you guys can talk about that. But the coach is that guy that knows that very specific thing that you're trying to learn, and he gets you there.
Right. Yeah.
That's interesting.
I guess you can break it down to like subject matter expertise.
Yes.
Right. And so you would go to, and I'll go back to the sports analogy. If I'm Michael Jordan and I want to get better at my free throws, I might be using a coach that is, his expertise is free throws. But if I'm just looking to step up my game from a mindset, from an overall performance standpoint, I might go to someone who's a little more broad. So, yeah, coaching could be subject matter based, whereas mentorship, I think, can be kind of holistic.
Yeah, you're right. As a matter of fact, if you look at a team, a very professional team, whether it's collegiate or professional, they have strength and conditioning. They have people that help with there's different subject areas. So if it's in track and field, you'll have a running coach, you'll have a strength and conditioning coach, you'll have a this isn't my area of expertise, but I mean there are multiple coaches, and these guys are hired on to make sure that those specific areas are all being addressed, and they're helping them with implementation.
Yeah. I mean, we just finished the World Series, right? Texas Rangers just won the World Series. And on the Rangers, that there's a pitching coach, there's a batting coach, there's, for every specialty on the field, there is a coach. So, and the same could go within an organization. If it's a business, the head of sales should be a sales coach to their sales team.
Yes.
The head of marketing should be a coach to the people on the marketing team. Like that is just one of the responsibilities when you're leading others. You should be coaching within your subject matter expertise.
It's interesting that you say that. I recently talked to a guy who, we could be working together. And he's not to be mentioned, obviously, but his issue is that he's on a team of salespeople, and they have check-in calls with their regional manager, and all they do is they report their stats. And the comment to me was, I wish that we would get a little bit of guidance on how to become better salespeople. Well, what am I really? What is there to say about that?
Yeah.
What if you're saying that this person in that role, their job is to help all of these people become better, then it's great to receive feedback in the form of, I'm not doing well this month, or this is how I'm doing. Maybe they're briefing a quad chart. I don't know what they're doing, but they're providing their updates. But what feedback is that leader giving them on how to become better if they're not cutting the mustard?
Right.
It's important that they fill that role. That person, at a minimum, every manager or whatever, at a minimum, should be able to coach somebody through all the tasks that they do in their job.
100%. And, so that, I think, leads to a needed question of, why is it important? Why is coaching and mentorship important in an organization?
Okay. Well, first of all, coaching is important because when you go from place to place, even if you were great at your job at that last place you were working, that doesn't mean that what made you great at that last job is going to make you great at your new job. So it's important to have somebody there to help you take your skills and apply them to that new position, because that's probably why they hired you, because you thought you were going to be great. But if you're not given an opportunity to apply those skills in a new landscape, being coached through implementation in that new landscape, then you're not going to be successful. Mentoring, that's the continued improvement. That's honestly, not everybody seeks a mentor.
No.
And it's not always necessary either. Some people are happy stocking shelves for a living.
Yep.
And we need those people in the economy, so that's okay. They could be the best doggone stocker in the world, and that makes them a leader in what they're doing because they're able to teach other people and help them. But, the people that want to move past that, that's where you need a mentor. It doesn't even have to be in the business that you're in. If you know that you are a sales and marketing person and you want to move up to the next level, but there's nobody in your organization that can help you. Well, who inspired you to become a sales and marketing person in the first place? Who retired from that position and they were a VP and you're right now trying to become a manager or a director? Seek that person out. Find out what it took for that person to do what they did. Maybe it's bouncing around from job to job, moving up in position every time, or maybe it's moving up within a company. Find out from people that have done it and they were successful at it, whether they're in your organization or not. Because chances are the people that are super successful in your organization probably didn't start off there. They probably started somewhere else and they ended up where they're at because of their past achievements. So your mentor doesn't have to be where you are, but you need to seek that person out because it's important.
Dude, that's a great point, because when you seek out a mentor who maybe works in a different company, different industry, they bring a different set of, lenses for you to look through, right? So a lot of times we're working for a company and we kind of have blinders on and it's like, this is how we do it in our company. Having an outside mentor really helps you to look at things differently and explore and question, like, why exactly do we do it this way? There are some other best practices in other industries. Can we apply them here? So that's a really great point, that the mentor that you're seeking doesn't have to work in the company that you're working for.
Right.
And something too that we spoke about earlier is that the coaches that you're looking for as a leader, right? Even as a leader, you should be getting some kind of coaching. And that coaching could come from a peer. And if you're brave enough to subordinate your ego, that coaching could come from one of your direct reports.
Oh, yeah.
If you need to learn something and be better at a task that someone who reports to you is an absolute rock star, then you better go get coaching from that person who's a rock star, because guess what? That is going to strengthen your relationship with that person.
True.
So yeah, coaching you don't have to seek out someone who's above you to get coached for a skill or a task. I think a lot of people get hung up with that. They get into a leadership position and they think, I'm supposed to know it all. I shouldn't be asking people that report to me for coaching. And that's bullshit. You need to build relationships, understand where you're weak and where your people are strong, and get that knowledge.
As a matter of fact, I know we're coming close on time here, but just a final point from me on exactly what you're saying. I'm going to be vulnerable for a second and say that once I transitioned from the military, one of my first jobs, I worked in retail for a little while. I needed to get myself busy again.
Yeah.
I was in merchandising. I'm going to be honest with you. I was a soldier who had a great attention to detail, and I was a senior leader when I left. But I had absolutely no experience in merchandising, but I had a 13-person team that I led in merchandising.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the very first thing I did after I received my training?
I'm going to say you probably went and spoke to your team and got an understanding of their expertise.
I did. And then when I found that person, because by the way, somebody stepped up. They after our morning meeting, they walked up to me and they're like, JJ, I've been doing this a long time over here. I'm a retired guy from blah, 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 blah. But I know a lot about this job and I've been here through multiple merchandising managers. I can help you learn everything you need to know to be an expert in this role, and it won't take very long. And I said, yeah, let's do it.
That's right.
Because guess what? I didn't know. And actually, to be a good leader, you need to leverage your team, not look at them as lower, because everybody comes from a different place. So the input of every person on your team is just as valuable as the input that comes from here and up here. As a matter of fact, sometimes it's even more valuable. Sometimes people just don't want to move up, but they're a subject matter expert in their role, and they've been there and done that at many different places.
That's right.
You don't know where somebody's been until you get to know them.
That's right. And that's why it's so important to establish relationships. And the closing thought on my end, and then I'll flip it back to you for closing thoughts. But as a leader, you need to be willing and able to give coaching to others. You have to be willing and able to receive coaching from others. And excuse me, you also, just by being a leadership role, need to be prepared to mentor people.
Yes.
One of your greatest jobs as a leader is helping other people to grow. And that happens through mentorship.
Yep.
So those are my closing thoughts, but what do you have to close us out, JJ?
Well, I'm going to put a plug in for us. I know this isn't a sales call or anything like that, but I'm going to go ahead and say that you pointed out Michael Jordan earlier and how he was the best person on the team, but because he hired a coach, he was even better. If anybody's out there is, for me, a new and emerging leader, and Chris can put a plug in for his if he wants to. If you are a new and emerging leader and you want to go to the next level, you don't have to hire me. You don't have to hire Chris. But the very fact that you are interested enough in this conversation to get to this point in the video, you might need to humble yourself a little bit and book a call with somebody.
Yep.
Me, Chris, Joe Snuffy, I don't care.
That's right.
Talk to somebody about what your goals are. Talk to somebody about what your ambitions are, and get some help, because that's what this is all about. It's not about, having somebody tell you that you're doing something wrong. It's about having somebody in your corner to make you a rock star and help you be the best you can possibly be. That's what a coach is. That's what we're here for.
Couldn't have said it better, JJ. Go find someone to help you be the best leader that you can be. Doesn't have to be me, doesn't have to be JJ. Go find somebody. We can all use someone in our corner to help us be the best we can be.
Yep. I have nothing else. If you want to get in contact with either of us, if you see that little red banner at the bottom of the screen, that's how you do it.
Yep. JJ, as always, this was an outstanding conversation.
Agreed. It's always a
and
pleasure.
I really hope that people, whoever's watching it, whether it's live, whether they're watching on a replay, I hope they get something out of it. I'm going to steal something that you do when you're hosting, is to let people know to continue this conversation. It'll be on your social feeds. So, put the comments in. We'll answer them. We'll jump in and make it interactive. But, keep it going. Keep the conversation going. And we will see everyone back again in 2 weeks.
Like, subscribe, share, tell the world.
That's right. With that, have an awesome weekend, and we will see you all in 2 weeks. All right.